On a beautiful Wednesday in 1978, 29th of March, General Olusegun Obasanjo decided that all land no longer belongs to the villages or the traditional rulers or people. It belongs to the government. Now, he didn't do this because he had the power or because he was the one in charge. He did this to unify the diverse, complex land tenure system that was in Nigeria at the time. Now, before the Land Use Act of 1978, the land tenure system varied with each region. In the East, an Igbo man can stand on the land and say, "This is my grandfather's land." No documents, just witnesses and history. The South was no different from the East. You can just say, "Oh, this is my land," or "You inherited this land." But in the North was a different story altogether. In 1962, the Parliament of the Northern region decided that they were going to do what was known as the Land Tenure Law. This law states that all land and interest of land belongs to the government. It was not just given to the government, it was given to the government to hold it for the people. So there were not lots of disputes in the North as there were in other regions of Nigeria. Now, the different customs in different regions of Nigeria worked. And it worked for a long time. People knew their boundaries, and disputes, though they existed, were settled by people who knew the land and the people intimately. But then, the Civil War ended. In the late 1960s and the early 1970s, Nigeria experienced an intoxicating wealth, and this wealth came primarily from crude oil. Now, three major cities in Nigeria swelled almost overnight: Kano, Lagos, and Ibadan. They exploded with people searching for opportunities outside their villages. And now, with this migration, factories needed lands, government needed lands, roads needed lands. And that's when land stopped being just an inheritance. It became money. And as land became more than just an inheritance, it became an identity. Wealthy men and large corporations started buying large vast of land quietly. They're not using this for anything. There was no project going on. They just wanted this property. Now, the worst part of it all was that in the South, people were selling the same plot of land to 2, 3, even 4 people at the same time. It caused a lot of disputes. The court was drowning in disputes. Neighbors became enemies and development stalled. You know that when the government wanted to acquire lands for hospitals or roads, or even the ambitious second national development plan, they could not find properties because property owners were selling plots of land at an eye-watering compensation. Now you can imagine if the government cannot afford the price of land at the time, imagine the average Nigerian at that time. So that was why General Olusegun Obasanjo decided that enough was enough. So he brought together a panel of experts and advisors. And in 1977, one of the panels, known as the Land Use Panel, came up with the Land Use Act that we use today. Now, this Land Use Act said that all land belongs to the government. Now, if you wanted to use a land, you're going to be granted permission to use that land. You being granted permission to use that land was known as the right to occupy and use that land. What this essentially means is that all land belongs to the government. If you buy a property today, the government can come and take it. But that is where excision comes in. Even as lands belong to the government still return back some properties to the original owners of the land. And that's known as excision. When the land is returned to the original owners of the land, it's no longer under government acquisition. And this is recorded in what is known as the Gazette. Of course, at first, when the land use came out, there were oppositions. But the law was revolutionary. Some people said it was visionary. Others called it quiet seizure. Years later, Nigeria returned to democracy. The new National Assembly should have dismantled it, but instead they embedded it deep into the 1999 Constitution. It was and still remains the foundation upon which every single land in Nigeria stands. And that is the Land Use Act of 1978. And as always, my name is Blessing Abraham. This is Real Estate with Blessing. I will see you on Friday.